I'm starting to think it's not a good thing. Let's take a look at it. What Navy?
The British Navy is like the U.S. Navy, except in bigger disrepair. The same thing is happening with the U.S. Navy. Like, we got rid of our last minesweeper boats recently, right before this Iran war, where we might have needed them. That type of thing.
Mark. Yo. All right, looks pretty good, right? Looks like a boat or something.
It looks like a boat.
My video entitled "The Navy with More Admirals and Warships" caused a bit of a stir online when it emerged that the once great Royal Navy was so reduced in size that it has more senior officers of flag rank than actual warships, a truly unthinkable situation even 30 years ago.
Embarrassing.
Well, they got rid of all the boats?
And two reasons I want to see this. One, I want to see the actual state of the disrepair in the British Navy. Also, two, this is part of the realization on Asmongold's side. I mean, he's going to see how bad the situation is with UK Navy, and he might think, is it something like that going on with our Navy too? It is. It's not. We aren't as far down the process as UK, but yeah, it's our Navy is also shrinking. So I'm interested to see the effect on Asmongold.
Through a process termed managed decline by generations of politicians, the armed forces have likewise been decimated, until we faced a situation recently, with the outbreak of the war in Iran, when Britain was seemingly incapable of dispatching at short notice a single warship to the defense of...
So what he's saying is that the reason why they didn't help us in Iran isn't because they didn't want to, it's because they can't? This is Great Britain that took over half of the whole fucking world? And they crashed out on a level that they can't even get a single boat over there?
It's managed decline, and they're much further along that curve than the United States, but we're on it too.
One of her sovereign bases overseas.
No
way.
way.
Cyprus, recently attacked. So in the interest of clarity, I decided to look closely at the current Royal Navy to determine what state it is in March 2026.
There's a title of this is The Royal Navy on Course for National Embarrassment.
The first thing to note is that it is too small. Former senior officers and defense analysts have been banging on about the size of the Royal Navy for decades, as it lacks sufficient ships to be an effective force any longer.
It's rusted out.
Do indeed show
and the ships are old.
This. Currently, the Royal Navy has 63 commissioned ships.
60.
This number.
Wait. The Iranian Navy was double the size of the British.
The size, the type of ship also matters. You can't just compare the number. But yes, it is very possible that Iran had more ships.
Navy? Oh, God. Oh, man, it was? Well, yeah, I mean, they're all sunk now, but, like, still.
No, a lot of them are in tunnels, the boats, speedboats, the ones that matter for the control of the Strait of Hormuz.
Dude.
Only 25 are really fighting ships. That is, submarines, aircraft carriers, destroyers, and frigates.
Yeah.
The balance are support, patrol, and survey vessels, which, though armed, are not true fighting warships.
Wait, why not?
Such a small fleet might be sufficient for a small nation engaged only in self-defense, but Britain still has some 15 overseas territories, many of which, like the Falkland Islands, require naval protection.
Well,
Plus, Britain is, of course, involved with a variety of defense tasks worldwide.
So they actually couldn't even defend it.
Cuts. The Navy is hard-pressed to fulfill them.
Wow.
So of the fighting ships in 2026, Britain possesses 10 submarines, 2 aircraft carriers,
10 submarines. Iran had 25.
See, right there, aircraft carriers alone. Iran didn't have any aircraft carriers. So you can't just compare the number of ships. Because one aircraft carrier is definitely worth a lot of smaller ships.
5. Iran had 25. Britain had 5.
25 what? Submarines. Oh, yeah, submarines. Comparing submarines, yes. They're small, tiny submarines, but you have to compare size.
Iran had 25. Britain had
6 destroyers and 7 frigates.
6 destroyers, 7 frigates. Okay, that's the same as this. I don't know, but it said destroy. They don't have one that says destroy.
That's because they didn't have any destroyers.
Oh my, that's
A decade earlier, in 2016,
That's why I said size matters. Destroyer is worth several smaller ships.
the situation wasn't much better. 11 submarines.
dude.
No
This is the set, dude. Look at that. What a
Aircraft carriers, 3. Why you say 0? I thought they had 2. Okay, whatever. Destroyers, 10, 11, 6.
sad infographic. That's brutal.
aircraft carriers, 6 destroyers, and 13 frigates. 20 years ago, in 2006, the fleet had 9 submarines,
So they made a new one.
aircraft carriers,
3. That's a lot.
1 helicopter carrier, 10 destroyers, and 13 frigates.
Yeah, that's a pretty good amount, right? It
And
seems
30
like it's a
years
lot.
ago, in 1996, the Royal Navy had 17 submarines,
7. What happened to 7
3
submarines?
aircraft carriers,
Oh, that was way
15
better.
destroyers, and 22 frigates. And it is generally agreed that the Royal Navy
37.
should still be this large.
1 second. See, U.S. Navy is facing a shrinking fleet, with projections showing a decline to 286 ships in 2025, down from 293 ships, largely to aging vessels, whatever. And yeah, it's been shrinking for a while. See, how dire is U.S. naval shipbuilding crisis? Before it gets bigger, U.S. Navy is getting smaller. U.S. Navy needs to grow, but it is in fact shrinking. See, U.S. is in the state of managed decline too. It's just a lot earlier in the curve.
As the defense commitments are basically the same as they were in 1996.
Oh, it makes sense, yeah.
So, roughly, the Royal Navy's fighting fleet has been reduced
Whereas China is rapidly expanding its navy in the world's largest force by hull count, with 370 ships and submarines as of 2026. So I think they've already passed us. Yep, they've already passed us in number of ships. The trends are not in the West's favor.
by half in 30 years. But
So they didn't even lose a war. They just lost half their navy anyway.
Our navy is shrinking too, Asmongold. Do you know that?
Oops.
is just as busy. Another issue is
Its economic decline is tied to military decline in all UK and United States. In both the United States, our manufacturing base is basically shot. And of course, that means that we can't replace ships at the rate they age out.
redundancy. Ships require regular maintenance and sometimes complete refits or updates that can take years. It means that at any one time, numbers of vessels will be doing nothing. And so you require sufficient vessels to make up this shortfall and still maintain operational commitments. Sadly, as you'll see, a good majority of the current fighting fleet is immobilized, undergoing refit or maintenance, with no ships able to cover these losses.
He's laughing like that, but he doesn't know the United States is the exact same situation. Oh,
The boats don't work.
yeah, it's the same thing with ours. The reason the U.S. Navy is shrinking is the same.
Oh no. I just
Also, a few months ago, I made a video about the parlous state of Britain's seaborne nuclear deterrent.
yeah. How's
We
that?
operate 4 Vanguard-class ballistic missile submarines.
Good,
And at any
right.
one time, 1 is supposed to be on patrol, 1 is undergoing training, 1 is in refit, and 1 is undergoing trials.
Smart.
We do know that the aging V-boats are requiring more frequent and longer refits and maintenance to stay in service.
Oh.
This, of course, is common sense. These are highly complex but elderly pieces of machinery. Your car goes the same way, after all.
Yeah, sure.
In 2023, the oldest boat in the class, HMS Vanguard, was returned to service after a refit lasting 7 years. So between 2016
That's
and
a long
2023, officially only 3 V-boats were doing the work of 4. That must have meant that each patrol was extended from 3 to 4 months, adding enormous strain to crews running submerged for such long periods of time.
Yeah, that would suck.
Currently, HMS Victorious, the second boat in the class, is also in long-term refit from 2023 for at least 3 to 4 years, perhaps longer. HMS Vengeance.
So they're all on
the fourth
repair.
boat, entered a long overhaul period and reactor refueling between March 2012 and February 2016.
Oh my God.
All this means that the Royal Navy only has 3 V-boats in operation at any one time, not 4 as advertised, with one always out of service in refit at
So
any
one's always broken. Right.
time. We can probably also surmise that of the remaining 3, at least one must have had some kind of fault or maintenance issue
Yeah.
in these periods. But probably
No, the
left
other
only
3 are
2
working just
operational.
fine.
All these elderly boats are in fact going to sea with serious maintenance issues or dangerous faults.
Oh
simply
my God.
because
The U.S. Navy is experiencing a shipbuilding doom loop. American shipbuilding crisis. So, I mean, Asmongold is laughing at Britain, but the U.S. is in the same position, just it has a bigger starting fleet is the only difference.
the continuous at-sea deterrent has to be maintained somehow. I would hazard a guess that gaps must have occurred in Britain's continuous at-sea deterrent.
Yeah.
I doubt the Ministry of Defence or the government would ever admit such.
No.
The state of Britain's inadequate flotilla of fleet submarines is truly shocking.
So this is actually so this fall off. This is like the French level of fall off. Like the French used to just, I mean, they would just show up and kill everybody. I mean, you tell back in the day, God damn. Like I don't know what's going on. Napoleon's a badass. Yeah, this is nuts.
We have 6.
It's a national
C-class
embarrassment.
submarines in the Navy, which is too
Absolute
few.
embarrassment,
And incredibly, in March 2026, only 1 is operational.
Compared to the U.S.
Let's examine this situation. HMS Astute is undergoing a midlife revalidation period that will last for years. HMS Ambush has been in long-term maintenance since 2022. HMS Artful has been undergoing regeneration and maintenance since 2023.
Right.
HMS Audacious has been in refit since 2023.
So everything's broken. Everything's broken, and they're trying to repair it, but they can't repair it faster than it breaks.
Someone get him to watch a video on the U.S. Navy.
So it's just you're basically in like you guys ever had a car that like enters like maintenance entropy, where it's like you take the car in and it's like the windshield wipers don't work and they find out that the exhaust is broken, or you've got to replace the fucking I don't know, like the fuel pump, or oh wait a minute, the axle is fucking misaligned, and then you take it in, it's limbo, right? And like it gets fixed, and then 3 weeks later something else goes wrong with it, and like eventually you just realize that it's like, you've got the ship of Theseus, right? You've got an old car that's been replaced so many fucking times. This is sad.
And HMS Agamemnon is undergoing testing and sea trials and won't actually enter full-time service until March 2027. That leaves HMS Anson as the only operational British fleet submarine at this time.
They only have 1 submarine?
Yeah. You can see why they weren't excited about this Iran war or trying to open the Strait of Hormuz.
Time to conquer the UK, yeah. This is the British Royal Navy.
Yeah.
Has been reduced to 1 submarine. This is the same level of fall off that like a chicken used to be a T-Rex, Like, this is bad.
1 active hunter-killer submarine to cover the entire fleet.
God.
She is currently out in the Middle East
fucking
after
so
leaving
good,
her base in Western Australia.
Just go get it.
Which military genius thought it was a good idea to reduce the hunter-killer fleet to just 6 boats?
6 boats.
You see the point about redundancy. 5 boats are out of service with nothing to cover them. Moving on to the aircraft carriers. Britain currently has 2 enormous carriers, though insufficient surface vessels to protect them properly.
So they have 0. Okay, so then you have 0. So they literally, wait a minute. So Keir Starmer flexing, trying to say that he was going to send an aircraft carrier over there. Wait a minute. So do you think maybe that's the reason why Trump didn't want them to send, if this is true, is it possible that Trump didn't want them to send the aircraft carrier over because they would have to defend the aircraft carrier?
Or the aircraft carrier couldn't get close enough to actually be useful because staying at a distance is a form of defense.
It could be a hazard, yeah. Oh my God. It would.
Yes, aircraft carriers need to be surrounded by destroyers with air defense system to protect it because it's so valuable. They can't travel alone.
Get in the way, yeah. It would spread them thin. Like, oh my God. No, keep that rusty piece of shit up there.
Honestly, that if UK, if it didn't have its own fleet of defensive ships, it could join U.S. carrier group with its destroyers. I mean, protecting one destroyer or two doesn't make a difference. So that's probably not the reason.
Only one is actually operational,
Be
HMS
dead weight,
Prince
yeah.
of Wales, held at high readiness to sail to support military operations in the Middle East.
But it can't.
Though without a protective umbrella of destroyers and
Yeah.
frigates, she could very well end up being a £3 billion target.
There's only $3 billion? That's cheap. I thought it would be like more. Yeah, I mean, because isn't a B-2 bomber like $2 billion? I mean, I know pounds are worth more, but like,
No, okay.
I mean, still, like, I like,
The other one, HMS Queen Elizabeth, is in dry dock at Rosyth in Scotland, undergoing extensive repairs to her extremely temperamental propulsion system.
oh no.
Moving on to destroyers. Successive governments have seen fit to think that only 6 destroyers are adequate, which is clearly deranged and incredibly irresponsible.
How many destroyer class ships did Britain have at the height of World War II? How many did they have? This is honestly, bro, like,
It's decline.
that's insane.
Why don't you do some search like this about United States? And
Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. Limp dick country. It's insane. The Royal Navy was bigger than the U.S. Navy. Yeah, like, because I thought we probably had a bigger Navy now, but like, I mean, I thought they still, like, you know, that was like their thing. It's the British Royal Navy. I mean, I watched every Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I mean, like, those are like the guys. And
So out of 6 vessels, how many are operational in March 2026?
No.
A grand total of 2.
you were at 277, and now you're at 2. Oh my God. How is this possible? I don't know. It's unheard of.
HMS Dragon,
all those migrants need social benefits. And if you're spending all that money on social benefits for migrants, there's no money for military.
vessel
That's
recently in
cool.
the news that was supposed to be sent to Cyprus to protect British interests there, and HMS Duncan. The other 4 are all laid up for one reason or another.
Uh-huh. Oh my God. And that's it. That's all they've got. They don't even look cool. So all of these are just total.
They don't even look cool. That's not. Well, can they operate? Are they efficient? Do they do their job? That's what matters.
Crashed out. Nobody even.
You know, our B-2 stealth bombers are flying triangles. You know that, right? I don't know if they exactly look cool.
Like, these are like photos probably from like, oh, this photo's from 1994.
That is at Portsmouth, undergoing a £68 million upkeep and
I don't know why.
upgrade program. And what about the frigates, the workhorses of the...
Let me just, I think I might have had a bug with my audio. Let me go and I'm going to close it and just reopen it. I don't know why that happened. And anyway, but my voice probably the video. Yeah, I'll go back. I didn't know. This is insane. How is it this bad? Like, I
Look into the state of... we're going to do that, by the way. But I'm telling Asmongold, look into the state of the U.S. Navy, too.
this is genuinely shocking. How could you have a fall off this embarrassing?
The U.S. Army's fall off might be this embarrassing in terms of force we could put in onto the ground in Iraq 20 years ago compared to how it is today. You'd be pretty shocked with the fall off of some branches of the U.S. military.
Let me go back and I'll go to this again.
HMS Diamond is doing
There it is.
likewise after a deployment to the Red Sea. And HMS Defender is at Portsmouth, undergoing a £68 million upkeep and upgrade program. And
Oh
what
my
about
God.
the frigates, the workhorses of the fleet? Here things have improved slightly.
Uh-huh.
The Royal Navy has a fleet of 7 Type 23 frigates, and in March 2026, 5 are active.
5.
5 out of 7 isn't bad compared to the rest of the numbers.
5? What were they at then? Oh, no. Oh, no. What? Historical, the group destroyers and frigates, 1945, the combined category was 801. No. Where'd they go? Oh, God. This is horrible. Decoy, thanks for the raid, man. We outsourced our defense to the USA? This is just pathetic.
Two are not. HMS Richmond is due to be decommissioned this year after 31 years service with no replacement.
Right.
And HMS Kent is
Wait. They're crashing it out and it's not going to get replaced?
this with no replacement.
So it's just, they're getting rid of it.
And HMS Kent is undergoing deep maintenance at Devonport since
Deep
2024.
maintenance.
At only 5 operational frigates is still a shockingly low figure. They are all old vessels as well.
5.
If we compare today's active fleet with the fleet that retook the Falklands in 1982,
Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah. 50 years ago, 40 years ago.
sorry state of the Navy is plain to see. If another Falklands-type crisis was to emerge today,
It'd be
could we
over,
deal
right?
with it? Probably not. In 1982, the Royal Navy was quite large. Britain at the time had 3 aircraft carriers, 12 destroyers compared to 6 today, and 43 frigates compared to just 7 today.
So they're losing a frigate a year, basically. Like every year it goes down by 1. Wow.
In 1982, the Royal Navy deployed the Falklands Task Force, which was 2 aircraft carriers, 8 destroyers, and 16 frigates, plus an assortment of other vessels, and still managed to fulfill its other worldwide obligations.
Don't send this video to Vladimir Putin. Don't let him find out about this.
If the Falklands kick
He already knows. He knows the weakness of Europe. He knows it.
Well, maybe theirs is
the
bad
Royal Navy
too.
could, at a stretch, deploy 1 aircraft carrier, 2 destroyers, and 5 frigates, but only if it stripped all active vessels from all other duties worldwide.
Oh my God.
If you look hard enough, you will find that another class of warship is actually
Okay, if you talked about managed decline, there were 361 frigates during at the end of World War II, U.S. frigates. Today, the United States Navy has 0 active frigates in service. 0. So we went from the end of World War II, 361 to 0. So we make the UK Navy look good in terms of frigates, don't we?
doing most of the work in 2026.
That's a boat. Look how small that is. Like, I feel like I've seen a lot of boats bigger than... Really? Like, are you kidding?
Warships remain largely out of action. The River-class offshore patrol vessels.
The River-class offshore, but it's not even called a battleship.
At a little under 2,000 tons each, this class are really corvettes or sloops, the type of small warship that existed in earlier Royal Navy fleets. But they don't have that designation today due to not being armed with anti-aircraft and anti-ship missiles.
So it'd be like in StarCraft or like Age of Empires where...
Yeah, he doesn't realize the United States has 0 frigates today. 0!
Or StarCraft where like you just have the Hydralisk that's just... Or Mutalisk, right? Those are the ones that fly. That's just... Or Void Ray that's just killing the siege tanks. And they just can't do anything. Like, it just sits there. So, wait a minute. Well, does that mean that you can just fly a drone into one of these things and they can't do anything about it? I mean, really? I wonder if they would lose a war against pirate boats. Probably not, but it would be close. So you could just, like... So they literally... So, oh my God.
Guns. Retrofitting these vessels might be a good idea to make them more like little frigates or corvettes to fill out the Navy's pool of warships. Currently, there are 7 vessels in service, and incredibly, all 7 are currently operational.
Look at what...
Protecting the seas around Britain.
Look what was Dreadnought in
protecting the
ships.
Falkland Islands, and also...
Wait, did they have Dreadnought ships back then? Do they have any more Dreadnought ships anymore? I didn't even hear that word. They did? They're all gone. Let me look at that after this.
These insufficiently armed vessels are really doing the jobs of frigates and destroyers, which is an alarming indictment of the state of the Royal Navy in 2026.
Wow.
Anyway, there it is in black and white. Check it out for yourself. You will be shocked. A tiny
Royal
Navy,
Navy.
with lots of commitments and too few ships and personnel, crippled by decades.
U.S. Navy has the smallest number of ships since 1916. And I guarantee you it's gone down from here.
It's a political mismanagement, and now barely able to send to sea a single submarine or destroyer.
That's
alone fleet.
insane.
It's enough to make...
Isn't what's insane the fact that Asmongold don't think, oh, maybe it's just as bad with the U.S. Navy? That thought hasn't even crossed his mind? He hasn't done a single search about the U.S. Navy? That's what this type of... Like, him saying this UK is insane... I'm not saying that. You haven't heard me say, oh, it's insane what's going on in the U.S. Navy. I say it's bad, but I'm not shocked because I know the same things happen to U.S. Navy. So I knew the state of the U.S. Navy, and so I'm just not surprised at all that UK Navy is worse. This isn't. But the reason he's shocked is he doesn't know that our Navy is shrinking the same way. We've gone from nearly 7,000 ships down to under 300. Of course, this is wartime, yes, but still, here you had like over 1,000 ships for nearly 2 decades, around 1,000. Now we're down to 300. We're shrinking fast, too.
Cry. It is said that if you stand beside the grave of Admiral Lord Nelson and listen carefully, you can actually hear him rotating at about 1,500 revolutions a minute.
Man.
Many thanks for
I
watching.
see no
Please subscribe
ships.
and
Oh
share.
my God.
Also visit my audio
The Navy with more admirals than warships.
channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support
Oh my
both of my
God.
channels at PayPal and Patreon.
Let me link
Details
you guys
in the
this guy's
description
video.
box below.
Wow. That is... So you're telling me they had an entire class of ship.
I just mentioned that we had an entire class of ships called frigates, and we don't have any in the U.S. Navy anymore. It went from, what was it, like nearly 400 frigates to 0. This big decline in this is all frigates being taken out of service.
Oh my God. Oh, holy fuck.
Aesthetically, I'm sure Asmongold loves this ship.
I don't have these anymore.
I'm sure some of them have been turned into museums. That's what they do with decommissioned huge ships. It's really fun to visit them.
God. So, like, they're not even part of the conversation anymore. List of dreadnought battleships in the Royal Navy. They went extinct. Oh, no. This is insane. They're the same in battleships? Okay, so wait, they just get renamed? There's no way, though, right? I mean, like, they got replaced by destroyer?
Yes, the big air was better back then, but since then, with the way warfare has changed, they weren't having that big ship didn't make sense anymore. It's better to have a bunch of smaller destroyers than a big dreadnought.
Okay, maybe that's it.
That big dreadnoughts date back from the era of basically guns on ships, firing artillery from guns deep inland. And we switched to missiles that don't require huge guns and a huge ship to fire those guns.
The same as battleships? No, they're not an endangered species. No, the entire Navy is an endangered species. Yeah, I mean, this is just insane. I don't even know
what do you think of this,
Asmongold? Was a battleship. So they've just totally crashed out. The Shocking State of Britain 2026 is a more accurate title. Careful, Mark, you might get arrested for causing anxiety. Oh my God, Mark Felton Productions. I didn't even know it was this bad. British public, stop the boats. Royal Navy, we'll start with ours. So are you telling me, like, meanwhile there were...
No one's going to say, look at the size of the U.S. Navy.
Doing this in the 1800s? What is this? This isn't... Battleships aren't used anymore, really. Well, let me see here. The world's large...
Let's have a look. Why U.S. shipbuilding has collapsed.
People are working all throughout the ship on outside, inside, electrical, pipes are being ran. People are welding. Cranes are putting down huge pieces.
At this site in southern Philadelphia, $5 billion is being invested by South Korean shipping conglomerate Hanwha. It hopes to turn this decades-old shipyard into a state-of-the-art facility and help the U.S. become a major shipbuilder again. China dominates the global commercial shipbuilding industry, accounting for 53% of global market share, followed by South Korea and Japan. The U.S. accounts for only about 0.1%.
Okay, you hear that. What do you think is happening with the U.S. Navy? We can't even build our own ships anymore.
China has roughly 232 times the shipbuilding capacity of the U.S. It wasn't...
Yeah. Who is... Oh my God. That's what happens when you outsource your manufacturing base to another country. In long term, you're outsourcing your military too.
Always this way. America used to be a world leader in shipbuilding.
Oh yes, we dominated the world. 80-90% of the world's ships. We produced 2/3 of the world's goods, manufactured goods, back at the end of World War II. 2/3. See, end of World War II. 2/3 of the world's manufacturing. This is part of that is because the destruction in Europe. But look at that, 2/3, 90% of the world's ships for the brief period. That's how this happened. You see this here? That's how we went to a war economy and built a lot of ships.
But with a shortage of talent, antiquated operating procedures, and outdated facilities, the industry essential to U.S. energy security and defense is in crisis.
We really gave up the shipbuilding industry foolishly many years ago.
Yep. China has surpassed us in Navy size, and considering their production capability versus U.S. production capability, it won't be long before, in actual naval power, they surpass us too, unfortunately. Because you need manufacturing to remain a great military power. Anyway, like and subscribe. I can watch on Kick or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.